Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Business Management 325 International Management. I'll be your professor for this second 7 weeks. My name is Dr. Jack Marr, and I'd like to do this quick introductory video to get to know everyone. Uh, International business is often called the liberal arts of business because it throws pretty much everything together and a lot of things which in a national system are under control, especially things having to do with law and assumptions about culture, are very wide open with international business. So we start by looking at political economy. And as I love to say, politics comes before economy. So things that happen at the political level can have a profound impact on the way that economics and hence business practices work. And on the cultural level, I've started, as you probably have noticed, going through your initial introductory posts and trying to respond to everyone. Still in the works, but I notice a lot of you have not only had a very interesting global experiences, but have talked a lot about culture, and that's something that we're going to hone in on. And then we're going to get into some of the nuts and bolts, things like trade and supply chain and marketing and related issues and how they're applied specifically and strategy as well, how they have a sort of a different take when you're looking at global business. A strategy is particularly interesting because you may have a strategy that works in the US and then suddenly something like COVID comes from outside of your boundaries and changes things. Reading through about halfway through your posts, I noticed that the top topic has been supply chain. People are very concerned. The trucking crisis has been brought up, and I think supply chains are a wider reflection of COVID, which has of course been the hot topic. I'm have the dubious distinction of being the first class in Kobe to mention COVID as something being on the radar, being highly attuned to things happening in China back in January of 2020, and it soon obviously dominated world life through the present, and it hasn't gone away. And I think you can see COVID in some ways as a catalyst for what comes next. There's a lot of turning of pages going on right now in business and in politics and in supply chain and even in marketing and communications all across the board. And I think that COVID provides an inflection point. A number of you mentioned China. If you've read my post so far, and thank all of you who went to the great U.S. China Idaho town hall we had on Tuesday. We had some great speakers with Fareed Zakaria from CNN and Bill McCahill, formerly of the State Department and now with the National Bureau on Asian Research, along with a lot of other great topics. So, as I said, I'm impressed so far with what I've seen of your backgrounds, a lot of global experience and interest. Um, and great stories about me. My global story is I studied abroad in Scotland as a junior in undergraduate and studied English literature and philosophy, which were my interests at the time, while running my own business to help support myself. I had a t shirt business, and I soon became interested in East Asia and moved to China and worked for one of the first venture capital funds uh, from Wall Street investing in China, and then went to work with the U.S. consulate with Bill McCahill as my big boss. And then I went to graduate school at the University of Chicago and studied international political economy with a mixed focus on business and the political impact, with particular focus on China and Japan. And I worked in management consulting with McKinsey for their Greater China offices, and I worked with a mixture of multinationals who are interested in growing in the region and entering the region, as well as with Chinese enterprises who were at the time just looking at stepping out. And obviously, they've become a major global presence since then. And I then went to Japan and represented the state of Missouri for trade and investment in Japan and China, and I worked with a lot of SMEs, with small and medium sized enterprises, uh, across a lot of different sectors, and that was wonderful because I got to work very closely with a lot of CEOs and global directors, and we also worked with some large companies like Anheuser-Busch, Monsanto, and Hallmark, and some other bigger companies based in Missouri. Um, I then went back to China and sort of made a shift into academics, and I helped New York University to establish their business school. in Shanghai, and decided that I was starting to have a growing family, and we decided we wanted to change. And uh, was at City University in Hong Kong, advising the dean and being a professor of international business there, and came to Boise in 2015, where our second son was born, uh, right here at St. Luke's. And so here at Boise State, I'm professor of international business, and I'm the head of the international business program, as well as directing the college's global outreach. I work with many partners around the globe. We're working with a very interesting variety of universities and governments and businesses everywhere from the UK to Germany to France to Morocco to Malaysia to Brunei to Taiwan to Japan, and recently in Senegal in Africa. So a lot of interesting stuff going on that front. My research in the past has primarily been on US China and economic relations. But through that research, I was doing a lot of research on foreign direct investment, which we'll cover later. And I became particularly interested in economic clusters, things like Wall Street or Hollywood or the Dalton, Georgia carpet cluster. Shenzhen, there's big consumer electronics manufacturing clusters. In Yiwu in China, there's very large light manufacturing trade clusters. So why do these businesses with very similar competitive natures group together? And very particularly interested in talent, and I think Boise is becoming a very interesting cluster with the combination of Micron and Simplot, which a number of you have already mentioned. HP, and then other businesses like Cradlepoint was the biggest, maybe startup success story, and is also an international business story as it was bought by Ericsson last year out of Sweden. So, looking at why these places can attract the top talent that's necessary to really have sustainable enterprises in a great place to live. So more about that if you're interested. A few other things. We'll have you guys start thinking about groups. You can choose your own groups for the group presentation, and we'll get the sign up sheet up by next week. The book issue, I've been pushing the publisher. There's something wrong with the back end links, and they're trying to figure it out. But we still can continue to. We'll make sure that you guys have books available. I've been very impressed. Anna Peters, some of you have seen her name pop up, has been helping us out as a TA, and she can help you with a lot of technical issues and other issues. And I wish you guys all have a great weekend. And I will continue going through your posts and sort of give a summary of the greatest hits and big themes. So have a great one, and I will see you again soon.